My name is Crymson Pleasure. I am a mom, a wife, a gamer, mental health advocate, a variety streamer, and survivor. My mental illness, among a few other things, is complex PTSD. Now, as the government explains what complex PTSD is, it says most traumatic events, e.g. car accidents and natural disasters, are of time-limited duration. However, in some cases, people experience chronic trauma that continues or repeats for months or years at a time. The current PTSD diagnosis often does not fully capture the severe psychological harm that occurs with prolonged, repeated trauma. People who experience chronic trauma often report additional symptoms alongside formal PTSD symptoms, such as changes in their self-concept and the way they adapt to stressful events. The symptoms of PTSD, among other things, are emotion regulation problems, difficulty managing their emotions. They may experience severe depression, thoughts of suicide, or have difficulties controlling their anger. Changes in consciousness. Following exposure to chronic traumatic event, a person may repress memories of the traumatic event, experience flashbacks, or experience dissociation. My therapist calls this memory fog. It's one of the reasons I can't remember much of my life before around 20. Changes in how a person views themselves. Symptoms in this category include feelings of helplessness, shame, guilt, or feeling detached and different from others. Changes in how the victim views the perpetrator. A person with complex PTSD may feel like he has no power over a perpetrator. The perpetrator has complete power in a relationship. In complex PTSD, people might also become preoccupied with their relationship with the perpetrator, for instance, constant thoughts of wanting revenge. Changes in personal relationships. These symptoms include problems with relationships such as isolating oneself or being distrusting of others. Note that this is unique from borderline personality disorder, which I was misdiagnosed with when I was 15, and that the person with complex PTSD often alienates themselves, as opposed to people with BPD who engage in unstable relationships that can be dramatic and volatile. Changes in how one views the world. People exposed to chronic or repeated traumatic events also may lose faith in humanity or have a sense of hopelessness about the future. Nightmares, avoiding situations that remind them of the trauma. Dizziness or nausea when remembering the trauma. Hyperarousal, which means being in a constant state of high alert, which you may have seen if you've watched me stream. Sometimes I'll jump at nothing, but it's because I think I see something moving, or even my water bottle will look like a person hovering over me. The belief that the world is a dangerous place, a loss of trust in self or others, difficulty sleeping or concentrating, being startled by loud noises. So let's talk about what that means for me on a daily basis. My brain is not wired to remember things, which is why I have trouble remembering things. My brain is wired to survive. And even when I'm in a state in which I don't need to survive, that doesn't change how my brain was wired. This is incredibly difficult for me to talk about. Even in not telling you the details of why I have complex PTSD, I hope you notice how difficult this is to talk about. But I will explain why I'm talking about it in a moment. For a long time, I thought I was just angry all the time. And it turns out that my anxiety is so bad, it just was anger. I am angry about things. I spent a very long part of my life being angry. But most of it's just extreme anxiety. To the point where it would feel like somebody was sitting on my chest or repeatedly punching my chest, almost constantly. And the slightest things would trigger me to fly off the handle, simple things. I also have noise anxiety. So when my daughter's listening to something, one of her shows, which is meant to be extremely stimulating for children, if there's other sounds going on, I'm instantly overstimulated and I can't be in the room anymore. Now, sometimes I can block this out by putting earbuds in and listening to something that I'm okay with listening to, but if I stay in a room for too long, it triggers a panic attack. Sometimes it will just trigger feelings. It means I can't always be present. One of the things that I suffer from is persistent thoughts, invasive and invasive memories. So something negative will invade my brain that I don't want to think about, or a memory. Then my obsessive thought kicks in and it will play a song. But my obsessive thoughts are kind of like a puppy dog, so it'll play that song on my head and repeat for days. And even though I enjoy the song, hearing any song on repeat in your brain for days can be annoying. It also means that some days I just can't get out of bed. I don't want to. Typically, if I have to, I can, and I'm very lucky about that. If I need to get up with Lily and I need to get her dressed and get her teeth brushed and get her fed, I can get at least that far before I lay down on the couch or I curl up in a chair. It also comes with depression. I'm not suicidal anymore, but I do ponder if everybody around me would be better if I were never born. And I started going to therapy because I wanted to ensure that when my daughter was 30, she wouldn't be going to therapy for the same reasons I am. I had been in and out of therapy my entire childhood. Misdiagnosed, mistreated, forgotten, shifted off from one school to another, shifted from one therapist to another, juggled on more medications than I can remember. But nobody did anything to help. So when we talk about why I'm doing this, because I'm breaking the cycle. And I know this because my therapist reminds me of this every time I talk to her. Because you don't have to be broken to see therapists. You can be neurotypical and still need to talk to somebody to work things out. Because mental illness isn't something to be ashamed of, and it should never be something to be ashamed of. Because I don't want you to be ashamed of how you feel. I don't want you to be ashamed of your crazy. Because, yes, I am crazy. And that's fine. Because I love my crazy. Because my crazy makes me strong. My crazy makes me a survivor. My crazy brought me this far with a husband and a daughter, with 2 best friends, the best support I could ever ask for. They love my crazy. And I want you to love your crazy too. Because there's nothing wrong with being crazy. There's nothing wrong with being mentally ill. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. Because even a broken taco still tastes as amazing as one that never crumbled. I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to love your crazy. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Love, you're crazy.